Hey, friends. I am looking forward to the discussion groups this fall. And I don't know what to expect other than I have a lot of interest and I've have had several questions from people. And a couple of emails that I received indicated to me that either I had to clarify something or maybe even adapt my thinking a little bit because here's the deal with me, and this is why they have to be discussion groups as opposed to me lecturing and teaching something. I I am much more I deal more in the art of impression and experience than I do in the science of discrimination. I get lost in the nuts and bolts and how to say things correctly. And because of that, I have these ideas and I see patterns, I see colors, I see themes in stories almost at the expense of the details, if you look at it that way, which is why these have to be discussion groups. And one of the things I think I either need to clarify, and maybe I'm even changing my thinking from some past videos that I did, is, well, I can categorize it this way. Here's what I think of. There was this little saying that I was taught as a child, and it went something like this. I'm going to do this so you can see it. So here is the church, here is the steeple, open the doors and see all of the people. So here's the church, here's the steeple, open the doors and see all the people. And I think that this is excellent theology, and I think that it's an excellent way to look at, you can say, here's the temple, here's the roof, I don't know, mosque, replace what you want with it. But that little saying that kids were taught really, to me, brought forth the idea that there is this world and then there is another world. And we have to experience both if we're going to be at peace and if we're going to be growing and if we are going to feel fulfilled. We have to experience the other world as much as we experience this physical world in these physical bodies, as much as we need to experience these institutions, these brick and mortar institutions, if you will, which would include religious institutions, educational institutions, government institutions. I know I'm missing one. They're family institutions, meaning like a home. So there's this idea of this world that we experience through our senses and have to experience through a timeline. And then there's the reality of this other world, which is our spiritual existence. And what has happened, I think, is that individuals, like I've said, have either butted up against these institutions or they get stuck in the institutions. Now, here's where I want to be really clear about something. I don't expect anybody to leave their community. So whether you go to temple, mosque, church, regardless of where you go to belong to a community, I think that there has to be a distinction between showing up and just participating and then leaving versus really belonging to each other and wanting to get into each other's lives, that whole community part. I think that there is a distinct difference. And I think that to some extent it has to happen concurrently, if you will. You have to exist in these institutions, but at the same time, you have to learn how to go beyond them without necessarily leaving your community. I'm hoping that this is making sense. In the Quaker tradition, when I was a practicing Quaker for 10 or 12 years, we used to not even use the word church. We would use the word steeple house. And it's a little bit condescending, and yet it taught the kids that I worked with in the Quaker community, it taught them that a steeple house is a physical building, and there's something more important going on within it. But by nature of it being a physical building in an institution, it is going to be limiting. And that's why I've wanted to start these groups. And so I'm going to go over here because I want to share some things too, kind of some really nuts and bolts things. So this is godsandbox.com. If you go to X Communities and if you go to Narrow Path, here's the curriculum page. So I want to clarify this too because I wasn't clear on this. But there are 4 tracks that I am asking people if they want to join me on. Two of them, so we're going to call it the green path, if you want to look at it that way, and the orange path. Two of them are going to be on Sunday morning and Wednesday night. Now, I intentionally chose Sunday morning and Wednesday night not to pull people out of their church communities or their temple communities or their mosque communities, or, again, just keep adding the words if you want, or their Buddhist communities, their temples. I picked these because traditionally, at least in this area, we want to engage something on Sunday mornings, and then sometimes there's a midweek kind of a checkpoint, if you want to look at it that way. And so I am intentionally offering them on two Sunday mornings a month and 2 Wednesday nights a month, because there are a lot of individuals who, I see it on social media, they're looking to return to something, and yet they're hesitant because they've had just a bad experience. And it may be their fault. It may be the leadership. I mean, I guess I don't see any productive way to have that argument about whose fault it is. It's just kind of the reality of where we're at, is that a lot of people are calling themselves spiritual but not religious, that sort of thing. And we have to be careful that we don't throw the baby out, the proverbial baby out with the bathwater here. So I did intentionally offer them at this time. So a couple things. So let's just talk through the green track and the orange track. So you'll notice that the green track and the orange track, the first one is Sunday, September 6th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing a study of the Universal Christ by Richard Rohr. And you can click on this study guide, and a slideshow, a Google slideshow is going to come up, and it's going to have things for you to think about. It's going to give you a very deliberate path to follow in engaging this text so that you can bring some depth to it. So yeah, you're going to be doing basically one chapter over 2 weeks. It's very slow going, but I think that you will find the slides are going to bring hopefully a real depth to this particular book. Now, you can get the same thing, the identical thing, chapter 1, on Wednesday, September 9 at 7 p.m. And same thing, here's the book, and you can do the orange track. If you really like this book and you want to have a couple discussion groups, come to both of them if you want to do that. I'm sure the discussion will be different because the slides that I'm preparing are going to have just a ton of different ways to look at things as I present these different structures, to kind of contemplate these things. So that is the Sunday and the Wednesday, 2 times a month. And I intentionally did that so that the other 2 times a month I can be a part of my faith community, because I have a lot of friends and a lot of people who, they're my people. They're my community. And I don't want to give that up, because that is the most important part of going to, the brick and mortar part, if you will, i.e. the steeple house, if I can say that gently. And for you, it might be going to mosque, synagogue, temple, etc. All right, so that is green and orange. And then I have red and blue here. Maroon and teal, if you want to be fancy. And I'm going to change the title of this. I'm not a fan of episode, and I'm not a fan of how to be human, although I really think that that's what the best use of these scriptures are. It is more how to just be good humans, as opposed to, well, anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that. But you have 2 options, and they are on Mondays. And this is going to be a weekly thing that I'm going to try to commit to. And so the first one is going to be Monday, September 7 at 8 a.m. And then the second one, the blue track, or the teal track, is going to be at 12 p.m. also on Monday, September 7. So I'm going to be online twice on Mondays. And these are going to be study guides. It's going to be more narrative. So this is not going to be a Bible study. I don't want it to be a Bible study. If you're interested in a Bible study, there are 6,239, institutions in the area that are going to help you study the Bible, but they're going to do it within their framework. What I'm going to do that I think is different is we're going to take a look at very short passages, and we're going to take a look at individual words, individual phrases. We're going to look at narrative, at storytelling. We're going to be looking at this basically as stories. And as you engage these rich traditional stories, number one of the Abrahamic faiths, focused around, well, the Abrahamic faiths, i.e. Old Testament. And number two, just the teachings of Jesus, the parables, the stories that he told, the life that he lived. We're going to take a look specifically at those two things. But it's not going to be like this, I'm from the Calvinist aspect, and I'm from the Church Fathers, and I'm from the Desert Fathers, and I'm from the Catholic Church or the Protestant Church or the Greek Orthodox Church. It's not going to be any of those frameworks. It's going to be more from your experience of these texts, your experiences of how stories evolve, of looking at the context of some of these stories, looking at the philosophy, the psychology behind some of these stories and all of the symbolism, so that you can come to your own understanding, which I think is really important for you to learn and give yourself permission to come to your own understanding and not necessarily feel like you have to fall in line with another person's understanding. That's why I'm offering these workshops. I like the idea of Monday because you might want to start your week that way. I like the idea of 8 a.m. and noon because you can start out your day by joining for an hour from 8 to 9 before you, go into the office if you have that luxury. If anybody's interested, if anybody's interested, we can shift that to 7:30 so that we can get an hour in before you have to go to work. I'm open to a little bit of flexibility, but at the same time, I've kind of committed to some things too. And then I thought, the 12 o'clock p.m. can kind of make it like a working lunch. And maybe we shift that up to 11:30. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but you kind of get the idea here. So same thing. You can come to both of them if you really like the discussion and you have the time. You could do all four. And to the extent that you want to participate, it's really up to you. You are welcome to get the book and go through the curriculum and the questions and just email me questions. I'm happy to put together video feedback. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You're welcome to come to all four if you want to have like the full experience with me. Completely up to you. You don't have to come to any of the Zoom meetings. You can just work through this on your own. And I hope that you would find that, a productive experience as well. All right. So hopefully that clarifies things. And please let me know if you have any questions. So I will continue to put things in place to the best of my ability. And this fall, I can pretty much guarantee it's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be productive. And I can guarantee you, I think we're going to have some really good discussion and hopefully some good experiences together as a community, just trying to, go beyond these institutions that have been set up for us. All right. So I hope that clarifies some things. All right. So grace, peace, namaste, all of those good things that we wish upon each other. I will see you hopefully in September. And send your email. If a friend has forwarded this to me, send me an email so I can get you on the list, and I forwarded this to you. Send me an email, and then I'll get you in the loop, and I will make sure to get Zoom meeting codes, all of that good stuff out there somehow to you as September gets closer. All right. Be well, my friends.